Bigger, better, faster, more. It's not just a vision, but a promise. And in some parts of the country, already being built, with a gigantic kit of gigantic parts. High-speed rail, we've been told many times by the Prime Minister, is the future, transforming travel, essential to levelling up. And so today, as the 160-page integrated rail plan was published, Boris Johnson headed north to give us his headline from it. Bigger and better, only sooner and cheaper.
It's a monumental programme for rail investment, for commuters, for passengers in the East Midlands, West Midlands, the whole of the North.
Meanwhile, on another train...
This was the first test of levelling up, and the government has completely failed and let down everybody in the North.
The devil, of course, is in the detail, but also the geography. Plans harder to scale back in the South and Midlands, where building on HS2 is already happening. Easier to unpick further north. So while the go-ahead is being given to the western leg of HS2 between Birmingham and Manchester, the eastern stretch up to Leeds is being scrapped, or at least reviewed, again. And it's not just HS2. The plan for Northern Powerhouse Rail between Manchester and Leeds is also being scaled back.
The largest single rail investment ever made by a UK government.
And it's on the Yorkshire side of the Pennines where most of the scaling back is happening. And so the travel transformation meant to coax more of us off the roads might not be so transformative in Leeds.
Why are you guys here?
Meeting for work, sales meeting.
So you've driven?
Yeah.
Why not on the train?
The answer from these colleagues, 3 of them called Emma, with a Sarah in tow too, is not just critical of public transport.
If there was a better system and it was a bit more like catching an aeroplane, there was a bit more structure around it, and then yeah, I'd happily get the train.
The fact that we've been promised HS2 coming here and then high-speed rail across as well for so many years, and now it's being certainly scaled back. What do you make of that?
It's not to be expected, because they're not going to invest up here, because their investment's all down south. That's what the Tories do. They're not going to invest up here. They've got their red wall seats. They've got what they needed to get through. They don't need to actually go ahead with what they said they'd do, because they've got the votes in now, so.
But to say HS2 isn't popular with everyone is probably an understatement. There's the timescales, the trees cut down and the cost. 9 years ago, an estimated 30 billion. By the start of this year, as high as 98 billion. So some think a rethink is no bad thing.
I do believe that we should, as a nation, be embracing bold projects, but I also do think that times have changed significantly. And when you're looking at a project as large as HS2, I think now is the time to be brave and actually step back from it and look at what we should really be doing. Not just to connect cities, but also to connect communities.
But this is not just about going faster north to south. It's about east to west too. And, crucially, capacity.
They'll try and run too many trains through Leeds to Huddersfield. They'll try and keep the stopping trains, they'll keep some freight trains, and then their fast trains will get stuck. What Grand Chaps has done is create years and years of additional delays for passengers and line closures, because more dependence on upgrades means less ability to take people onto new lines to bypass when work needs to be done.
And Claire is with me now, and the government's been talking about capacity and speed.
Yes, and that's the thing with HS2. It links in with what Henry Murison was saying to me earlier on today, that although with HS2, a lot of the headlines, a lot of the promises were around journey times, actually capacity is crucial to it all. If you have a new track, then that means that you can take the fast trains off, you've got the slow trains on the existing track, and they don't hold each other up. Now, Grant Shapps claimed today that we would be doubling or tripling capacity in some places with these new plans. Bearing in mind we're not getting all the new track that we were expecting, quite a few people are scratching their heads about that. So capacity crucial, particularly here in Leeds, which really is at the epicentre of the bits that have gone from these plans, but also at a time when really trust is so crucial in politics. This is not just about trains, but trust also.
Thanks, Claire. And Darshna Soni is in Nottingham now for us. Darshna.
Well, this is where the HS2 line will end, East Midlands Parkway, and we've heard a lot today about how that'll affect the Northern powerhouse. But what about the Midlands engine? Well, I've been speaking to business leaders and commuters, and they broadly welcome today's news. If you're familiar with this region, you'll know that this station isn't actually in Nottingham or Derby. It's around half an hour away by car. So under the old plans, you would have had to travel here to get onto an HS2 train. Now, although the track will terminate here, the trains will go on to both of those cities via an upgraded Midlands mainline track, and that's been broadly welcomed. Currently, if I want to get to London from Nottingham, the quickest I can do it in is around 1 hour 43 minutes. We're now being told that'll be slashed to just under an hour, to 57 minutes. But of course, it's not just about people wanting to get to London. The regeneration of our railways is also about local connectivity. And again, we'll see some benefits. If you want to get from the East Midlands to the West Midlands, for example, from Nottingham to Birmingham, currently it's quicker for me to do that journey by car because the train trundles along. It takes around 1 hour 15 minutes. Now we're being told that'll be slashed to under half an hour, to 26 minutes. There has been some disappointment and some criticism, particularly in Towton, which is around 20 minutes from here, which would have seen a new HS2 station with lines that would have gone on up to Leeds. Now that that has been shelved, there has been criticism. But overall here in the Midlands, today's plans have been broadly welcomed.